We're going to take a trip down memory lane with this recipe. These are my chicken and mushroom vol au vent, very retro. And back in the 70s, they were really popular. I don't know why they're not popular anymore because they're so yummy. It's a combination of puff pastry filled with a creamy chicken and leek mixture. Now, puff pastry is really hard to make, so I've bought some. You can buy puff pastry now from all of your supermarkets. Now, what I'm doing is just cutting out some circles to make our little pastry cups. This is a 7cm cookie cutter. You can make these any size you like. My mum would make this into a 12cm vol au vent to have them as a main meal, but I'm going to do these as an entree size or a canapé size. So I'm going to make 12 of these vol au vents. So we need 24 circles because what we need to do is sandwich the 2 circles on top of each other. And when you're working with puff pastry, it's a good idea to have it really cold. So bring it out of the freezer and start working with it within the first 5 minutes. By doing that, you'll notice that it's not too sticky. Now that I've got a few circles, I'm going to show you the next stage. So using a smaller cookie cutter, this is a 3cm cookie cutter, I'll cut a circle out. Now just leave that there for a moment because I need some egg wash and just lightly egg wash one of the whole circles. And then we'll grab our donut-shaped circle with the base of it and then sandwich them together. That's the first one done. Now, there are 2 ways of doing this. You can take the little circle out or you can cook it with the circle still attached. Because this has an indent, what's going to happen is it's going to lift and puff up and then almost form a slight hat on the top. That's what we're going to hollow out to add our chicken. Now I'll brush this again with some egg wash and then this goes onto a prepared tray. I've just placed a bit of baking paper on the tray. I'm going to make 12 of these and then bake them in the oven. Now you need a hot oven for this pastry to lift up, so 200 to 220 degrees, and these will take around 12 to 15 minutes or until they're golden brown. Okay, now while the puff pastry is cooking in the oven, we can get on to a really quick chicken mix. So in a saute pan on a medium to high heat, I'll add some extra virgin olive oil and I need to seal off the chicken. Now I'm using 2 chicken breasts with the skin on. I want to use chicken breast because it's leaner. Now the puff pastry is quite buttery, so a leaner, meatier cut is what I'm after. So into the pan, skin side down, and we'll just get a little colour on each side. I don't want this to be too caramelised because I want this sauce to be slightly blonde or a lighter colour. Now for some leek, I'll finely shred the light green and white part of the leek. It's the sweetest part. And when it cooks down, it becomes really soft and silky. I love it, and it's a great classic combination with our chicken. All right, the leek is done. I'll now finely chop 2 cloves of garlic. We'll just bruise them lightly and then we'll run a knife through it. All right, that is done. Let's turn this chicken over. See how we're just lightly sealing it, and I'll season it with some salt and a good crack of pepper. Now there's lots of space in this pan, so we can now add our leek and garlic just around the chicken and we can start that cooking process. Now once this starts to soften, I'll add some mushrooms, around 150 grams of good old classic button mushrooms that I've finely chopped. I want all of this to be quite tiny in size because it needs to fit into the vol au vent. So this can go in and then we'll add some stock. Mushrooms have cooked down, so now we need a thickening agent. So all of this binds together, and that is a few teaspoons of flour. Now add the flour at this stage and cook it off. Nothing worse than a raw flour taste. This will take no time at all, but the worst thing you could do is add the liquid and then the flour. You'll get a really unusual flavour in this, so cook it off. And you'll see it dry up and stick a little bit, but fear not, because we will deglaze with some stock. All right, stock time. Some chicken stock, and about 1 cup is all we need. And then I'll give that a quick stir, combining all of those veggies. You can see that the liquid comes about halfway up the chicken, so it stays nice and moist. Okay, lid can go on. This is going to cook for about 12 to 15 minutes. Once it's cooked and that sauce has thickened up nicely, I'm going to remove the chicken, finely chop it, and then we'll finish the sauce off with a little bit of cream and some mustard. Now the phyllo pastries come out of the oven. Look how perfect they look. See how they've risen nicely? That's what we're after. Now I'll just let them cool down a little longer while I finish off the chicken sauce. Now in here you can see that it's reduced quite a lot and everything's softened. I've finally chopped the chicken, and now we'll add some mustard and just stir that in. Now the sauce looks really thick at this stage, but now I'll add some cream. I'm using some pure cream, and we'll drizzle that in. This is just on a medium heat, and we'll stir that in. Oh, it smells good. And allow that cream to thicken. We want it to coat the back of this wooden spoon. See how it's just coating and you can draw a line in it? That's the consistency that we're after. Now that it's thickened, we can turn the heat off and add our little cubes of chicken. This mixture in itself can be used for so many different things. If you wanted to do a closed pie, fantastic. Even through some pasta, this is just so yummy. Now you want this sauce to just coat all that chicken. You don't want lots of sauce around it. So that is just right. Now for some freshness, tarragon. Tarragon and chicken are best mates. 1 sprig of tarragon. You could use parsley if you can't find tarragon. And then we'll run my knife through it a few times. Essentially, you want everything to be quite small because our vol au vent is very small. If you're making bigger vol au vent, by all means, you can make things slightly chunkier. All right, let's fold that through. And leave this tarragon to the last minute just so you get that beautiful freshness. If I added that tarragon at the beginning, we wouldn't taste it at the end. All right, let's start assembling. Now with a paring knife, carefully cut out the centre and just gently pull out that excess dough, just so it's quite hollow. So now we've got our little baskets for our chicken. And then we'll do the next one. Now these vol au vent cases can be done up to 2 days ahead of time. They'll stay nice and crispy, and you can even make this mixture ahead of time and freeze it and just warm it up when you're ready to go. It just makes life so much easier, particularly when you're entertaining. Now I'll just make 4, and what a lovely retro plate. We'll place our vol au vent in the centre, and with a small spoon, we're going to fill these quite generously with our delicious chicken and tarragon mixture, squishing it down without breaking the bottoms of them. And there you have it. Top that. And the second one, they look so good. See how it's not too saucy? If there's too much sauce, it wouldn't sit up nicely like that. And a lot of people ask me, what does vol au vent even mean? Well, vol au vent means blown in the wind in French, and you can understand where they get their names from because that puff pastry rises quite quickly in a fan-forced oven. That's where the name originates. I love these. There you go. That, I'm sure, is going to trigger a few memories for everyone out there. It's nostalgic, it's delicious, flaky puff pastry, creamy chicken filling. These are always going to be popular, I think. Oh, they are absolutely divine.